How does Team Canada neutralize the threat of the Tkachuk brothers? That is one of our topics of conversation here in Power Plays, powered by FanDuel. And one idea we've conjured up, Carlo, is that of Brad Marchand. How can he affect this game for Team Canada in a positive way?
Well, he's just got to be Brad Marchand and lead in a competitive way. I mean, I'm not sure if there's any group chats going on before the game about what each player wants to do, but clearly that was something that sparked the Tkachuk brothers and Team USA in Montreal. But this is a very familiar place and a very familiar situation for Brad Marchand. He's got tons of experience playing at the Garden in front of, I wouldn't say his home fans, but in his home building. So it's a comfortable spot for him to be in. And look, Brad Marchand has scored very big goals in his career, including the last time they played the World Cup of Hockey, where he scored a shorthanded goal with just less than a minute left to clinch the winning trophy for Canada. So he's got the stage for the heroics, and no better place for him to do it than in a place he's very familiar playing.
A massive stage for Brad Marchand, no doubt, and a massive stage for Jordan Binnington as well, who's had an up and down Four Nations face-off to this point, but he certainly has some positive characteristics heading into the final. What have you seen from him so far?
Look, I think it's pretty obvious that he's let in some soft goals, but he hasn't, it hasn't let him affect him. He's always come up with the next big save to the point where, Canada hasn't really had to worry about any shot that's gone on him having to go in. But one of Jordan Binnington's strengths is his ability to play the puck. And I can tell you firsthand, as a defenseman, when you got a goalie that can play the puck as good as Jordan Binnington has, that's like having a third defenseman on the ice. And for a USA team that wants to come in, establish a physical presence, probably get the crowd going, they're going to want to dump the puck in and lay bodies on the defenseman. If you got a goalie that can play the puck and execute a breakout before that can get established, it's a huge bonus for Canada and for Binnington.
We know Jordan Binnington has come up huge in the past in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The same cannot be said for Connor Hellebuyck of the Americans, so we'll see how it goes for him on Thursday night. Let's talk about Mitch Marner, perhaps the most polarizing player on Team Canada, especially in Toronto. What kind of grade would you give Marner for his performance to this point?
Well, I'd give Marner a B for his performance because, like you said, if he wasn't a Toronto Maple Leaf, would he be getting this type of attention in a negative way? Because there's other players in this tournament that have struggled. I look at Kyle Connor for the U.S., a prominent goal scorer in the league, hasn't really chipped in on the score sheet. But when it comes to Mitch Marner, we can't go unnoticed. The massive goal that he scored for Canada. Canada would not be in this position in a rematch against the United States if Marner didn't score that overtime goal. So that's a big check mark to his game. He's had a hard time in the beginning keeping up to McDavid, which is why you've seen the line shuffling. And John Cooper has really liked the fit that he's found with him over the last game, putting him with Cirelli and Hagel in a responsible role. And I think that's something that Mitch Marner has to, be comfortable with right now in this format because he hasn't been able to find his A-plus game that we're used to seeing with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Let's talk about a trio of Americans who performed very well to this point. Jake Guentzel, Zach Werenski, and Dylan Larkin. Who's been most impressive to you of that trio?
Well, all of them have been equally impressive. I mean, Jack Eichel, since he's had the Tkachuk brothers on each line, feels like he's playing a little bit bigger, and it's allowed him to contribute on the offense. Dylan Larkin scored a massive goal for the Americans against Canada, and he's really starting to get his legs going right now and finding different ways to produce offense. But to me, it's Zach Werenski. This is a guy who came in and wasn't expected to lead the top power play unit because that was supposed to be Quinn Hughes' job. They even started Adam Fox in that position. Well, he slowly bided his time. And now you look at the points that he's contributed. He's tied for first with Sidney Crosby for the most points in this format. And he's really building on the momentum that he's built off of his season with Columbus, where he's third in the league in defense scoring. So for me, the contributions that he's been getting on this stage has been super impressive.
Totally with you. Werenski, 15-1 to win MVP of the tournament. You mentioned he's tied for the tournament lead in scoring with Sid. And with Charlie McAvoy out, could be even a more pronounced role for Werenski on Thursday night. All right, let's get to it. Prediction time. What do you make of this game? Fill me in.
I'm all in on Canada. I had them before the tournament, and I'm going to take them now. And this almost feels like their moment. They've been here. They've done that. And when you got guys like McDavid and Crosby, McKinnon, who are elevating their game up until this game, you got to like their chances. Look, in any format like this, it's really tough to beat a good team twice. Canada lost the first one. I feel like this is their chance to respond. And I think the biggest factor, like you just mentioned, no Charlie McAvoy, who was a huge impact in that last game with his physical presence. That's going to be lost for the U.S. Makar is going to play for Canada. That's another huge advantage. I'm going all in with Canada.
I like Canada, too. Maybe a little sprinkle on Sidney Crosby, tournament MVP. The sentimentality could get to the voters at the Four Nations face-off.